I'm Lara Lyn Carter, and today on Time for Sharing, I'm kicking up the heat in the kitchen. A trip to Nashville inspires spicy fried chicken, grilled portobello mushrooms with a cool and creamy herb dipping sauce, and to finish things up, a peachy rice pudding with a kick all its own. So go ahead and pull up a chair. I've saved a seat for you. Nashville may be known for country music, but don't let it fool you. This city has just as much talent in its cuisine as it does its music. And I'm here on the trail of one of the city's hottest dishes. Chicken began in the 1930s as an act of revenge by a woman scorned, and ranging from spicy to hold on to your boots hot. This poultry packed a punch so powerful it quickly became one of Nashville's signature dishes.
This is a revenge chicken.
Revenge chicken.
That turned into something good. My uncle Thornton Prince was a woman's man, a ladies' man, and it's alleged, mind you, because they didn't keep records back then.
Not convicted, alleged, all right.
That he had been out philandering all night, and his lady friend, who he stayed with, was furious when he got home. It was almost breakfast time, so she had to have gone out, for this to be as old as it is, she had to have gone out in the yard and figured she was going to get him back. So she had to have picked something out of the garden, which most families had back then, and she threw it on his chicken to get back at him. But rather than getting back at him, of course it had, probably jarred him awake. She made it out of something good, which was meant for bad. But that's how it's alleged. So that he got started.
So she thought she was going to get even with him. She was going to put something in front of him on Sunday morning, and it was just going to curl his toes, and all of a sudden, he loved it.
Well, you take one bite and you say,
It wakes you up.
Hey, and he kept on eating it, and I'm sure he shared it with his friends. So, hey. I've
also heard that everybody gets here half an hour. People are lined up around the building to get here.
Usually it is. I have gotten here at 11 o'clock, and they were already lined up at 11 o'clock. So, but on Saturdays now we open up at 2, so they are definitely lined up.
They're ready.
And ready for. Yeah. But I think it's because this is an exciting chicken. Mm-hmm. This is a conversation chicken. This is not a boring food.
Well, I'm about to find
gives you something to talk about.
Well, I'm a little scared, so I'm going to, and I've talked to the different people coming in and out because we've seen some of the plates come out and everything. I'm going to start with the mild because I'm a little frightened. But now this one is the hot.
That's that revenge chicken.
That's the revenge. I'm going to start with. I'm going to be a little bit of a chicken myself at first. Oh, I love the way you can hear it, the crunch, the crispiness. Now, what all do you put? Can you tell what you put on, or is it just a secret? Flat out can't tell.
Well, I hope it's a secret because I'm trying to stay in business and be able to pay another bill.
Well, now this one is good. I mean, it's got good flavor, but it's not. It doesn't shy me away, and I'm a little sensitive to heat. Now, my husband would dive into that. He wouldn't even ask. He'd just go for it.
A lot of doctors recommend you eat something spicy when the baby's overdue in pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah,
when they're overdue, point, but I sure could have used it about 3 different times.
Them, but I don't recommend it if you're not overdue.
I'm getting brave. Okay, I've got a big glass of sweet tea. So.
I hope you need something icy, really.
Whoa.
Well, I think you better kind of calm yourself back down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't want anybody falling out, going to the hospitals.
you can still, it's got all the flavors with it. I mean, you can taste the other, it's not just the hot, there's layers of flavor.
Yeah.
And I'm very sensitive to hot. And I can feel it.
Yeah,
it's
it
in
comes
the throat.
on gradually.
It does. It builds up.
Like I got you.
You first put it in there. Exactly. You put it in there and you're like, oh, that's warm. And then it takes over. I was cool earlier. I'm actually beginning to get really warm.
Have mercy.
I don't know of anyone who likes spicy food better than my husband, Chris. And tonight, it's date night. I'm gonna put my own twist on Nashville hot chicken and make my spicy fried chicken. I'm gonna start with 1 egg. I'm gonna make a marinade to infuse a lot of flavor into this chicken. And to make it simple on myself, I'm gonna use a large Ziploc bag to put the marinade and chicken in. It saves a step later. Our egg goes in, 1 cup of whole milk, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Now here comes the real heat, Tabasco sauce. You can be as liberal or as light with this as you want to be. The way he likes hot food, I'm going pretty hot and spicy, and he loves the heat, so we're gonna do 2 full tablespoons. If you're making this for a crowd, you might want to back off just a little bit. Give this a little stir. And now we're going to add our chicken. I've got chicken tenders as opposed to big chicken pieces. These will fry up a lot quicker and they're a little more like bar food. I thought it would be fun for date night. We're just going to drop these in our bag, seal it up, and let it marinate in the refrigerator. Now normally you would let this marinate at least 2 hours or even overnight. The longer you let it marinate, the more flavor you're gonna get. Seal it up tight. And this is ready to pop in the fridge. I've already got one ready. But before we do that, we're gonna make one more thing. We're gonna make a Tabasco butter to add at the end of it. Got 1/2 stick of butter here that's really soft at room temperature. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of Tabasco, not a lot because you already have a lot of heat in the marinade. Just take a fork and gently mix that together. Once you're done frying the chicken, you can take the chicken out, let it cool slightly, and then baste this on top and it adds an extra layer of flavor. Now our chicken is ready to fry. We'll get our grease going over here on the stove. You need about 2 inches of oil and medium-high heat. We'll simply dredge these in some self-rising flour and they'll cook about 5 minutes per side, depending on how thick they are. He is gonna love this. This is gonna be a perfect date night menu for him. You don't want to overcrowd the chicken because you really want it to cook evenly. These take only about 5 to 8 minutes, depending on how thick they are. I'm gonna get these fried up, and when we come back, I'm gonna make my grilled portobello mushrooms with an herb dipping sauce. Ms. Andre, I have to ask you one question. The woman scorned, what happened to her? Did they stay together? Is she forgiving?
You know, nobody knows who she was.
Well, then she must not have hung around.
But
I guess maybe it made her mad that her revenge didn't work.
We don't know who she was. Have mercy, and that's pretty bad, but I always give her the credit. She's the one that started it.
That chicken really brought the heat. Now it's time for a cocktail. I think I'd like to try a different kind of local hot spot. The tavern is favored by locals and tourists alike for its attention-grabbing cocktails. Famous faces are sometimes spotted sipping one of their many signature drinks. So I'm very happy to get to sip, savor, and see. I knew the tavern would be a great idea for a cocktail, and Lacey, you've made me 2 here. One kind of classic, one little signature dish. Let's start with this one. This is a signature one, right?
It is. 1920 is one of our signatures, and it has got a base of a Corsair gin, a little bit of grapefruit, and ginger and basil. We infuse a ginger syrup. Gives it a little bit of sweetness. Ginger and basil go really well together, so it's not too sweet. That grapefruit kind of tames it down. It's really good.
And this is one you've kind of had really since the tavern opened, right?
Yeah, it's been on the menu since 4 years ago.
Is this your favorite signature one, or?
One of my favorite signatures is the sangria. We whole make our sangria.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that good?
I might hold on just one second. You can really taste the ginger in that. That is so good.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sangria.
Sangria is really good. We make it with blackberry brandy, red wine, top off with champagne. It's one of our popular drinks next to our signature 1920.
Oh, this one's fantastic.
Yep.
Now the ginger, the basil, we're talking about that. And it's kind of like a recipe for food, which
Yeah.
really works well together because
Yep.
ginger and basil and cooking goes really well
Yep.
together.
That basil accents that gin.
Yeah,
You know?
it really does. It's very refreshing. If I wanted to pair this with something food-wise, what would you, if you were pulling something off your menu, what would you put this with?
It would go really well with buffalo cauliflower, which is one of our most popular dishes. And food-wise, maybe the salmon. Salmon's got a little bit of spice to it, and this would kind of tame down that spice a little bit, still add that refreshing, it's all a light kind of feel. It's really good.
You gave me an idea because I do a ginger sauce for my salmon at home. So this one would work really well. Okay. Again, very good. Okay, classics. You're going to have people that are always going to want the classics. What's the classic you've made me here?
So this is a classic Manhattan, and I've made it with Makers, which Makers is a little bit sweeter bourbon, and then a little bit of sweet vermouth, dash of bitters, and garnish with cherry. This is a classic Tennessee drink, smooth, bourbon based.
Something you're definitely going to find in Tennessee. Plenty of that. Ooh. You get the little heat from that. It's just totally different. But again, very, very good.
Yep.
Now, do you ever find people like a twist on a classic?
Yeah, we actually do a drink called a triad. So it's like a nice Manhattan with Grand Marnier. So you still get that orange liqueur flavor to it, and it is a twist to a Manhattan, not changing it up extreme, not going one extreme or the other.
But
Still really good.
But keeping the classic, but just giving it
Correct.
a refreshing twist for something different.
Correct.
I wanted a side dish that would kind of beat the heat from the fried chicken. So I'm gonna do my portobello mushrooms with herb dipping sauce. This is a really great side dish. I've got 3 large portobello mushrooms that I've just lightly cleaned and brushed off. And I'm gonna drizzle them with a little olive oil. Now, mushrooms are a lot like a sponge. They absorb whatever flavors you give them. So you really need to give them a lot of flavor. We're gonna add a little bit of kosher salt. And now I'm gonna get my griddle going. I'm going to put a little olive oil in my grill pan. This will keep the mushrooms from sticking and again add more flavor. You could use canola oil, but I think olive oil gives them a little bit better flavor. These are very hearty and very meaty, so you really only need about 1 to 1.5 per person. We'll get these going. You can hear it sizzling. We'll just let those roast. And now we're going to make our herb dipping sauce. This is a really cool component to go with the spicy chicken. It kind of cuts through the heat and adds a creaminess, and it's infused with a lot of herbs, so a lot of good flavor. I'm going to start with 1 cup of sour cream, 1 cup of mayonnaise, and you can use the light in this if you want to do a little bit of a healthier option. Now to this, we're going to add 1 clove of garlic that I've already minced. And then of course you need to add that layer of flavor with some salt and pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix that up. Now you can make this ahead of time. It's a great idea to go in and make it up ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator, let all the flavors come together. See how our mushrooms are coming. Yeah, we're starting. I'll get those a few more minutes on that side. Now we need to bring in some more flavor. Rosemary and basil, two of my all-time favorite herbs. You're going to want about a tablespoon of each of these and just a rough chop. I love basil. The minute you start to slice it, you can smell the basil. If you want to, you could substitute parsley or cilantro if you're not a fan of basil, but basil's just so good with the mushrooms. Add that. And here you have your rosemary, and it smells so wonderful. We're just going to pull off the stems from the sprigs here. You don't want any stem in there, so make sure you only end up with the sprigs. Let's check our mushrooms again. Maybe time to flip. Yep. While these continue to cook, I'm going to add another layer of flavor, more olive oil, more salt on this side. And the mushrooms really absorb all of it. It's just that sponge pulling in that flavor. Turn these down just a little bit. And a little more salt. I love to serve these bottom side up when you can put the herb dipping sauce right in the middle like a little boat. All right, let's chop up our rosemary. Rosemary is one of my favorite herbs. I can keep it going all year long because it's hardy enough that it'll hold up even in the winter. Add that. Stir that in. And now for a little brightness and a little freshness, we're going to add some lemon juice. I've got 1 lemon. Just give it a quick roll to make sure we get the most juice out we can. If you ever get a lemon that you can't get a lot of lemon juice out of, or it's really firm, you can pop it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. It'll loosen up all of that juice and you'll get a lot more juice out of it. You don't want any seeds. And this one is good and juicy, so we will get a lot of flavor out of this. There we go. And there is our herb dipping sauce. You can pop this in the fridge and serve it later, or you can serve it right away. The longer it sits, the more flavor it's going to have. Use over one more time. Add a little more olive oil. You don't want them to stick. And now, when these are done, it'll be time for a cocktail. When people come in here, at the tavern, and they're here in Nashville and they're on vacation, do they usually come in and want a signature, or do you find they think they have to have a classic?
You know, I get a little bit of both. I find a lot of people that want something, oh, I'm in Tennessee, and they want something classic, old-fashioned, Manhattan. Then you've got a lot of people that are like, oh, make me something that you think is great, something I've not ever had before. Whereas where the 1920 would come into play. Mm-hmm. So I get a little bit of both, which is why these are perfect for both categories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do they tend to have their favorites? If they do a classic, say they want to do Jack and Coke, somebody who's going to do a classic like me that's going to have Jack and Coke, yep. Do they have their particular brands that you find that when they tell you they want this, it's this particular brand, or are they kind of open with, do you have something new, local maybe? You've got a lot of distilleries opening up all over the country, so they might ask you for a particular distilled spirit.
And Jack is very well known. You get a whole lot of people that are they're drinking, they want Jack and Coke. It's very simple. Something I always recommend too is Angel's Envy. A lot of people traveling from all over the world, Angel's Envy is very different. It's finished off in a port wine barrel. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice bourbon that's got a sweeter note to it. And it's something a little bit different. People like something different, still smooth.
All right, well, I know you've had Nashville hot chicken being here. So if you had to pick between the three, which would you put with the hot chicken?
Out of the three, if you're going classic Nashville hot chicken, you've got to go with Jack and Coke. I feel like it's the way to go with. It's very simple. These are wind down drinks, refreshing, different flavors. This is a classic Nashville. Jack and Coke paired really well with hot chicken.
It makes the signature of being at Nashville with the signature food, signature drink all together.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Nashville has given me a great date night idea, and no one loves spicy food more than my husband Chris. So so I'm gonna go home, put my own twist on some Nashville hot chicken, and maybe even pair it with a cocktail too. What happens when a sweet Georgia peach meets a gentleman named Jack? The perfect date night dessert. I'm gonna make my Jack Daniel's peachy rice pudding, and I'm gonna start with 3 cups of whole milk. I cannot think of a better dessert for date night like this. After a trip to Nashville, it just ties it all together. We'll get that going. And to that, I'm gonna add 4 tablespoons of sugar and 1 lemon zest peel. We want to get this to come to a boil, and then we will add our rice to it. We want to dissolve the sugar in really well. While that gets going, we're going to do our next part. We're going to take our peach preserves and we're going to put them on the back burner here. And what we want to do is just slowly dissolve the peach preserves and Jack Daniel's together. I've got a few dried peaches here. I'm going to add a little Jack Daniel's to these. These will become garnish. And the rest of our Jack Daniel's we'll add to our preserves. This is starting to come to a boil. Now I have short grain rice here. This is very creamy, it's very rich. This takes about 15 to 20 minutes to cook all the way through. Now I like to use Jack Daniel's in this recipe specifically because of the vanilla flavor. It pairs so beautifully with this. Let's check our heat. Turn this up just a little bit more. When we put it all together, you'll have really good layers of flavor. You've got a layer of the rice pudding, you'll have a layer of the preserves, and then we'll top it off with our peaches that have been soaking in the Jack Daniel's. And now it's time to make that cocktail. Our date night dinner is complete. I cannot think of a better way to end a date night, especially after our trip to Nashville. Our peachy rice pudding is done. I'm gonna add our preserves that we had mixing in with the Jack Daniel's. This has so much flavor. You have the creaminess from the rice pudding, you have the zing from the Jack. And speaking of the zing, let's not forget our dried peaches that we infused with the Jack Daniel's. They've been soaking up all of that flavor. We'll just top a few of these on here. When you stir this all together, it is so rich and delicious. And now it's time for that cocktail. I'm gonna do a little twist on a sweet tea. I've got sweet tea here in a pitcher. It's already prepared. All I'm gonna do is add 2 simple ingredients, some citrus for some fresh flavor, some orange juice, just a squeeze, and then here comes our vanilla flavor again. Our Jack Daniel's will make the cocktail complete. We're gonna put some ice in our glasses. You really wanna make sure that your iced tea is iced, good and cold. You don't want it to water down your cocktail. A little bit of our Jack Daniel's. This will be a great way to start date night. And then add your sweet tea. The citrus works really well with the vanilla flavor from the Jack Daniel's. Give these a stir. And date night is finally ready. And for me, I'm gonna go get fixed up for my date night. thought we'd start date night with a cocktail.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You like it?
That's very good.
It's a Jack Daniel's iced tea. I thought it would be appropriate. It's got sweet tea, orange juice, lemon juice, and of course Jack Daniel's in it. After the hot chicken we had in Nashville, I thought this would be perfect. It's a spicy chicken with the Tabasco butter. It's got some heat, but it's flavor that I can enjoy because it's not overly hot. See what you think of it.
I'm sure it's gonna be good.
It's gonna have some heat and kick to it. You feel the heat?
See, it's warm, but it's got a nice spiciness to it.
Yeah.
Not just heat.
But the side dish is the really exciting part to me because you know how I love portobello mushrooms.
Yes.
And I wanted something that would cut the heat. And so this is a grilled portobello mushroom with an herb dipping sauce. And it's cool and creamy with a lot of fresh herbs, so it kind of complements it and helps bring down some of the heat a little bit. I got the rosemary out of the herb garden.
It's fresh.
Very fresh. It's kind of like a scrapbook on a plate from your trip.
That is good. Very flavorful.
The herbs really come out.
The herbs do come out. That does cool your tongue.
It does take the heat off. Dessert you're really gonna love.
It's good.
Very good. You can taste the Jack Daniels and all the peaches. It's just different. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy date night.
I enjoyed it.